course, it's because Richmond subbed out Ben Miller for Maurice Rioli, who made an immediate impact on the game. And there's conflicting reports to what the hell the injury even was. I think they were talking about cramps. There's a calf cramp. There's a full body cramp. Where all the kinds of cramps, but also there's a cramp, a 2-week injury. I don't know about that one.
There's the other curveball there is that's also the misconception too, is that the 12-day restriction
well, is it more of
you
like
can't
a guideline?
Play is only for concussions. It is not for other injuries. So that's where there's a little bit of the misconstrued there, is that people are like, well, the 12 applies to both. No, it doesn't. The 12 only applies to concussion because that is a concussion protocol. No other injuries have that on there. So the cramp, again, I will asterisk this because whether it is or isn't, I don't know. Again, I'm not questioning the integrity of the doctors. I would be more of questioning the integrity of the coaching staff, because they made a change for a guy that wasn't doing well to a speedy guy late in the game to make an impact. So it's kind of one of those. There's a lot of
giving nudge to doctors. Hey, this guy's having horrible cramps. Question marks, right?
Well, there's a lot of question marks over it. Again, whether it is or is not nefarious, I don't know, and I hate it. The thing is everybody's jumping on it. Well, it's nefarious. If this guy doesn't play this week, all of this talk is going to literally seem ridiculous. And that's my honest opinion. Does he play this? Like, if I'm Dimmer Hardwick, and again, this is inner coaching me here, I would screw with the Victorian media and I wouldn't put him in there. No matter if he can or can't, I would make sure he doesn't play this week, because that would literally make all of the arguments, all of these people, this is a nefarious use of the rule. Like, I mean, people lost their minds over this between Friday and Saturday. If I'm Dimmer Hardwick, I end all of it. I make sure the kid doesn't play this week, because then all of the talk, like literally, you can say he's still having issues with it. He pulled up sore during the week. We're not going to play him this week. Boom. All of the arguments that he did it nefariously are gone, because they can't prove. Well,
Dan, would you look at that? I just saw a new article pop up from the Daily Sun saying that Hardwick, quote, hates Victorian media, hopes they die, and has banned his players from drinking pickle juice in mustard so that they always will cramp. Wow. Riveting news from
a little excessive there. But again, jeez, you find it when you take some of the most controversial opinions on here for sure. Now,
I have a talent.
Again,
I bring in the controversy. You bring in smarts. It's what we got going on here.
I do my best.
One of us is better at the other.
I don't know if you read some of the YouTube comments. All I'm doing is sucking about something I know nothing about. So we'll go off that one. So,
YouTube, yeah. I love you guys.
Yeah. Again, I won't go into that controversy, but again, we'll have to see. Again, if I'm Dimmer Hardwick, I nip this in the butt, and I just make sure the kid doesn't play this week, because then you.
Well, do you think any rule changes can come out of this? One thing that they've been talked about is maybe changes to like interchanges and amount of substitutions you could have on there. Is there really a change you have to make to this rule either? Because like really, my thoughts on this was that he might have. This is almost like towing the line, because. Yeah, he probably couldn't have played that game. Is a cramp like really the reason why the medi sub rule was introduced? Is that the kind of injury they had in mind? No, probably not. But I don't think that the rules are there in play. He's not just totally faking an injury, but he's just taking advantage of the rule set that he has. I don't think there's anything dirty with this. At the least, it's probably just smart coaching, because he did nothing wrong. If you're going off the rules.
Here's the thing though, is that I actually do know the medi sub was brought in for concussions specifically, but the thing though is the rule was very fuzzy when it came to it, because they didn't specifically say it is a concussion. It became a medi sub in case
the AFL with a fuzzy rule. I've never heard of them doing that before.
In case of a bad injury. But the thing, though, is that many people then assumed that the 12-day non-playing, like the concussion, would then go as well, and it didn't. There's nothing in the rule that said if it wasn't a concussion that they had to sit out 12 days. So there's a little bit of people kind of assuming, and again, the old quote, you know what assuming does to you, it makes a you know what out of you and me. So I won't fully say that. I'll at least somewhat censor myself on that one. So is the rule being egregiously abused as much as I'm hearing so many people talk about? I don't think so. I honestly don't think it's that bad. I'm not seeing the drama. I think this is a recency bias of, oh my gosh, potentially he could have been subbed out for a non-legitimate reason. Oh my God, let's lose our minds. And my first thought is did it affect the end of the game? No. What's the big deal? Legitimately, what's the big deal? Unless you can legitimately prove this guy was pulled and was not hurt and can still continue, which they can't. I'm not seeing I literally see it's like literally having an acorn hit you in the head and going, oh my God, the sky is falling. Like legitimately, that's how out of context I feel this whole thing is. I bet you if you go to most of these clubs, 95% of the medi-sub rule usage is for legitimate, they cannot continue injuries. So it is not as nefarious or not as egregiously abused as people think it is. Like, I have not seen a game where I've went, ooh, that looks a little nefarious. Every injury sub, at least that I've seen, and again, I don't know the specifics. Most of them, they're like, ooh, that guy's, he's not going to continue to play. Torn hamstring by Phil Davis. That's a legitimate injury. Guy gets a concussion where he's literally, he's got a wobble neck and can't keep his head straight. That's a legitimate injury sub.
Even cramps are legitimate, man. Cramps can be, they can immobilize you.
Exactly. So I hate this jumping to conclusion that it's a nefarious reason. Again, do we take a little bit of grain of salt with how some of these things are handled, especially? Yes. But again, unless it makes a massive impact on the game and like changes the game, which again, this medi-sub didn't, I'm not seeing the big deal. Again, maybe I'm underselling it. I don't know. I'm giving Damian Hardwick rope that if he wants to hang himself, I'll let him do it himself, or his doctors. I'll let them do it themselves. Yep. But I'm going to give them the rope to be able to do it, because I'm not going to sit here and go, you did wrong, because I do not have the evidence to prove that. And because of the way these clubs are handled, I don't think you're going to.
Or, well, to be fair, it's the AFL, and our rules as fans is to make a mountain out of every single molehill that we come across. I think this is fine. I understand why people might think this is illegitimate, trying to take advantage of the rule, just because, like, especially with there being an immediate impact to the game as well, that definitely can be, controversial, I guess, or at least adding to the controversy, adding fuel to the fire. But I thought that this was fine. And honestly, I don't think the rule needs to be changed.
Can I make one little adjustment to that? Is that for everybody? It's like, okay, so who came on as the medi-sub? Morris Rioli Jr., correct?
Yeah.
You want to know how many disposals Morris Rioli Jr. had?
A few.
2. That's it.
Couple. Ooh.
Two disposals and 2 tackles. Yeah, he made a massive difference in the game. I don't think so.
Maybe
again, as I said, he had no score involvements. He had 2 tackles. He had 2 disposals. That's it. I don't see the controversy, because the medi-sub made no impact on this game. He had no score involvements. He had no goal assists. He had 2 disposals. That was it. So there's no impact on the game at all. None.
So what we're saying, that this is a non-issue that we should be able to move on.
I think it's a mountain out of a molehill.
Yep.
I think it's people saw a guy come off. They didn't see him get hurt, so they tried to make it off like it was much more of a bigger thing than it was. Did they get a faster player on that could have made an impact? Yes. Did he? No. So
yeah. Well, safe to say that just like what we do when it comes to medi sub controversy, we should just move on.